Welcome back. Let's continue on with our reading. The Men of the Rock. Hugo Kupka's personal guard. On Kupka's orders, they ruthlessly gutted and destroyed Sid's original hideaway, vengeance for the brutal beheading of Benedict de Harman, but Kupka's thirst for revenge is not yet slaked, and it is with reckless abandon that he employs his minions to commit atrocities across the realm in a bid to drive Sid from hiding. Kingdom of Waloed. The sole surviving nation in Ash, Waloed has its capital at Stonerear, home to the Mother Crystal of Drake's Spine. It is ruled over by Barnabas Tharm, dominant of Odin and Warden of Darkness, who has long harboured ambitions of extending its reach into the neighbouring continent of Storm. Somewhat surprisingly, the Sambracosis Empire's incursion into the Crystal Dominion prompted no immediate response from the king, who appears to be biding time and considering his next move. So he's waiting to see what the best thing to do is. The Royal Intelligences. An elite unit of royal knights of Waloeds led by Benedict de Harman, who led clandestine incursions deep into the territory of enemy nations. Unlike Waloed's main battlefield forces, whose orders are usually issued by the Lord Commander, the intelligences report directly to the king, or at least they did, until the dissolution in the aftermath of Sid and Clive's surprise attack on Caer Norvent. We're just ruining things for a lot of people. Oh, this looks cool. The Crystalline Dominion. A once independent state straddling the continents of Storm and Ash, its capital Twinside is built on the tiny Isles of Ark from which its mother crystal, Drake's Tail, rises. After Drake's head was destroyed in 873, the Holy Empire of Sanbreque declared Twinside its new capital in defiance of the long-standing non-aggression treaty. While controversial, the move carried out by Prince Dion and his Knights Dragoon proceeded mostly unopposed, largely due to the Dominion's lack of a dominant of its own with which to intimidate the interlopers. Yeah, if you don't got a nuke, you can't exactly fight a nation with a nuke. A mining settlement in the southern part of the continent of Ash, it is known for the adamantite it produces, a resource highly prized for its unrivaled durability, but this is both a blessing and a curse, leading as it has to repeated attacks by marauding orcs over the years. Though previously well protected, the encroachment of the Blight has seen citizens deserting in their droves, leaving the town even more vulnerable to attack. You can't let the ogres get that stuff. Non-aggression treaty. A pact in which was codified the agreement between nations to refrain from invading the Crystalline Dominion and laying claim to its mother crystal, Drake's Tail. It both cemented the Dominion's position at the centre of world politics and placed checks on the ability of key players to exploit that position. Well, now it belongs to a very, very bad nation. Those who make their coin by stealing from others or from their corpses. Banditry is outlawed in every corner of the realm, so those who turn to it must make their beds far from the eyes of the constabulary. Often setting up camp in abandoned villages, some brigands will elect to band into small armies that together they might have the strength to make raids upon towns and villages in search of the food and funds they need to survive. The Strait of Ortha. The narrow channel to the north of the Crystalline Dominion that separates the continent of Storm and Ash with Sanbreque to the west, Waloed to the east, and the Dominion to the south. Its shores are never short of soldiers or political tension. One more for this, section. The state religion of the Holy Empire of Sanbreque, whose followers worship the goddess Gregor as the one true deity. At the church's head stands the Holy Emperor, who voted into office by his fellow cardinals and supposedly their equal, though this is widely recognized. Supposedly their equal, those to be a convenient fiction. The followers of Gregor worship dragons as secret servants of their goddess, and since the founding days of the Empire, have both doted and depended upon them. So they use dragons a lot. Good to know. Heart of the Mother Crystal, the brightly shining convolution of shards that sits at the center of each Mother Crystal. When a heart shatters, so too does the mountain around it. Since time immemorial, sanctuaries have been built around the hearts for the worship and protection of these irreplaceable treasures. Makes sense. One of the most valuable materials known to mankind, thanks to its ability to channel ambient ether from the air, allowing those without an innate power to do so to cast magics, and as most Velithians cannot live without magic, its supply and distribution is heavily regulated by governments across the Twins. Though the penalties for the illicit trade in crystals are severe, with demand far outstripping supply, many still dabble in the black market. Makes sense. Magic barriers. Some dominants have the ability to call upon a part of their icon's power to summon a ward, a nigh impervious barrier that no magic nor matter can cross. However, its maintenance requires a continuous channeling of ether through the summoner's flesh, taking a heavy toll upon them. The larger the barrier, the greater the burden. That's going to come into play, I imagine. The Inner Sanctum, sacred chambers in which the hearts of the Mother Crystals are enshrined. Believed to have been created before the time of the Fallen, they retain a portentous air. I don't know. Even now, long after mankind has forgotten their significance. A religion dedicated. Did I already read that? No. Okay. Let me just. Ethereal tolerance. The ability to resist the effects of ethereal exposure. This is high in bearers and dominants, allowing them to survive concentrations of ether that would turn any human who lacks their gift. Some animals, including chocobos, also have a natural resistance to the effects of ether, but one of the many reasons why the birds are so beloved across the Twins. I think they're alright. They're not, all that, in my opinion. Those within whom sleeps the power of an icon. Though they look and think no differently to any other man or woman, they can not only cast elemental magics with our crystal, but also transform themselves into beasts of world-shattering strength at any moment. There is only ever one dominant for each icon, a new dominant only awakening after the previous dies. Some awaken at birth, while others are chosen later in life. Once one is chosen, one's life changes forever. Magical beings of godlike strength who dwell within humans, hosts known as dominants, only emerging when the dominant primes. History records 8 icons in total, each with a unique element affinity. One warden, each of fire, water, thunder, ice, wind, earth, light, and darkness. So let's go through this. Oh god, I'm losing it already. Phoenix, no idea about water. Ramuh. Oh god, what is her name? Is the one that Jill has. Jill's Garuda, Titan, who is like Bahamut, and Odin. So I don't know water, I can't remember ice. I think the only one I don't recognize is water. Yeah, I haven't seen water. The common belief that 2 icons of the same element cannot coexist was shaken by the appearance of a second icon of fire during the Imperial attack on Phoenix Gate. Priming. God, she looks so cool. She looks beautiful, really. The act of a dominant transforming the living flesh into that of an icon. Priming does not require a continuous draw on the ether, it is rather maintained by the constant channeling of the vast quantities of ether imbued within the dominant's own body. This allows dominants to remain primed even when they enter the etherless Deadlands, but also results in the crystal's curse taking a heavy toll on them with each act of priming. Yeah. A cursed fate. A person with the power to cast magics without a crystal. In Velithia, men and women who awaken as bearers are enslaved, branded with the mark on their cheek that leads some to call them by their pejorative moniker branded, though their powers do not begin to approach those of the almighty dominants. They too suffer from the crystal's curse, gradually turning to stone over a lifetime of channeling ether for others. That's got to be horrifying. Bear is forced to fight for the nations that enslaved them. To stymie the urge to flee, the penalty for desertion is death, and the soldiers are encouraged to keep a close watch on each other to prevent others from doing so. The brand upon a soldier's cheek presenting an additional obstacle, and so most follow the orders, turning steadily to stone with each draw on the ether, to lose one's life to the curse being lauded as a hero's death. A common pejorative term for bearers marked with the brand. Newborn babes are tested at birth, and those found to have the knack are branded on the cheek and taken into custody of the state. Those who own and manage bearer slaves. A bearer must always obey the orders of his or her master, and are largely forbidden from acting independently, even from speaking without express permission, when it is necessary to relinquish supervision of a bearer, such as when dispatching one on an errand. Masters will often affix the emblem of the house or business to the slave's clothing, that they are not mistaken for an escapee. Yeah, that would be bad. The liberation of bearers. That which Cid and his allies strive to do is save bearers from slavery. To this end, they gather information about masters who most mistreat their property, that they might focus the rescue efforts on those who most in need. Freed bearers are brought back to safety of the hideaway, and though many are unsure what to do with their newfound freedom, a combination of a warm home, warm food, and a warm bed helps to calm their nerves. The Fallen, an ancient yet highly advanced civilization whose relics, said to be the remnants of airships that once soared through the skies, can be found across the length and breadth of Valythia. Its hideaway is but one of many settlements to take a fallen ruin as its foundation, taking advantage of the sturdiness of the ceramics, which are stronger than steel. They are not, however, immune to the passage of time, so the hideaway is in need of constant repairs. Legend had it that the people of the Fallen once sailed through the skies in the bellies of these ships. Though all now lie shattered and silent on the surface below, the men and women of the present day are wont to repurpose these ruins for their own use, both the village of Lostwing and Clive's hideaway in Benamir being built among the wreckage of a fallen airship. Artstone, a mysterious ceramic tablet that stands in the hideaway of a similar construct to the other relics of the Fallen, yet seemingly not a part of the airship proper. Its imposing appearance suggests some important function that has been lost to time. Whatever strange secrets lie within, it seems to react to Clive's presence and urges him to unlock his hidden potential. Nice. Ancient mural. A wall painting found in the depths of the Apodistry under Phoenix Gate. Who created it and for what purpose is unknown, but the celestial being in the center suggests some connection to a long-lost religion. Beasts. Nice scene. Animals whose evolution has been warped by exposure to ether, some gaining the ability to cast magics. Unlike bearers, however, they seem to have developed little ethereal tolerance, so it is not uncommon to encounter Akeshi beasts in the vicinity of ether floods. Wild beasts are sometimes tamed by humans for use in warfare, the soldiers of Sanbreque having a particular fondness for those descendants of ancient dragons. Echoes. Strange clockwork constructions often encountered in fallen ruins. The question of whether or not they are truly alive is open to debate, as they do not appear to require water, nor do they feed on the flesh of their victims as beasts do, and seemingly exist solely to protect their habitat from intruders. All echoes are encased in protective plating that is made from the same material as the ruins, and thus cannot be destroyed. The repeated blows will cause individual plates to dislodge, eventually causing the entire structure to collapse on itself. Ultima's Thralls, twisted, glowing blue creatures that awaited Clive and Jill deep within Phoenix Gate to try and prevent them from gaining the innermost recesses of the Apodistry. Oh, nothing on there. That's surprising. Mythos. The name by which Ultima addresses Clive, it appears to be his title for the vessel for limitless power that he means to make of the young Lord Marquess. But to what end he requires such a thing, only Ultimus knows. A name that the being known as Ultima gives to Clive, it appears to be synonymous with mythos. Finally, the bestiary. I've been looking forward to this. Shiva, that's your name. Yeah, I think that's where the water one goes. We don't know about the water one yet. So let's see. Fire, fire. Ice, thunder, wind. Earth. Light, darkness. That should be all of them. The Warden of Thunder, whose power most lately awakened within Sidolphus Telamon. Dominants of the icon most often emerge among descendants of the Motes of Thunder tribe who once dwelled in the lands of Central Ash, lands that the Kingdom of Waloed now lays claim to, mayhaps in part due to the tribe's comparatively advanced learning. Rainbow is associated with wisdom and judgment to this day. Also, probably because he looks like he learns a lot. Just look at that beard. The Warden of Light, whose power dwells within Dion Lesage, Prince of Sanbreque, in the Holy Empire of Gregorian, faithful hold dragons to be sacred creatures, and Bahamut the most sacred of them all. Because of this, as well as the protection it grants them, the icon is loved and revered by the imperial populace. Seemingly drawn to the destruction of the heart of Drake's head, Ultima emerged from a Tyrian reality, wherein the skin of Typhon, a withered and wizened colossus, and drew Clive into a space between worlds wherein the ethereal entity might test his worth as a vessel. Gotcha. Suparna, an ethereal creation of Benedicta Harmon, dominant of wind. When summoned in Caernarvon alongside her twin Serida, the pair worked in tandem to attempt to overwhelm Cid and Clive, wielding a panoply of potent magics and deadly aerial assaults. God, sometimes I just cannot talk. A warlike yet surprisingly organized species of beastmen native to Ash, they have long been in conflict with the Waloeders over control of the continent and currently count the bulk of its eastern half as their own. However, the encroaching Blight continues to eat into the amount of livable land, making the fight for more territory even more vital. Yeah, the Blight's awful. Oh my god. That's a lot of things. Seems like we've got some good stuff at the end here. But let's get these done first. Minotaurs. Towering beastmen that combine the heads of oxen with bodies eerily human. Minotaurs are abnormally aggressive, a trait that suggests that little man remains within the beast, and roam the grassy meadows of Rosaria, doling out violence seemingly indiscriminately with their crude yet massive clubs. Despite the obvious danger, however, hunters still actively seek out these menaces for their lustrous manes, which often command exorbitant prices at markets. Makes sense. Vampire thorns. While most flora is thought of as stationary roots binding them to the soil upon which the matron's seed first fell, there are some species which have an uncanny capacity for locomotion. Species such as Northern Storm's vampire thorn, instead of drawing nutriment from the earth, these pitcher-like plants hide themselves in the undergrowth where they wait for prey to happily stumble by, at which time they rush out, emitting a foul cloud of mind-numbing pollen and vicious sap to disorient the victim while they strike and strangulate it with a pair of frighteningly long vines. I want to meet more mobiles. I want to fight more, but none have shown up. Hornets. Most commonly found in the woodlands of Rosaria and western Sanbreque, hornets are often mistaken for birds due to their prodigious size. This mistake, however, can prove deadly, for the overgrown insects are extremely territorial and highly aggressive, and will attack all that they might venture near their hives, using stinger laden with poison potent enough to subdue creatures as large as wyverns. Okay, continuing onwards. Unlike many arachnids, which use gossamer webbing to ensnare their victims, black widows prefer instead to cling silently to trees and cliffs and wait the passing of an animal below, which time they leap down and assault their prey with hooked limbs and caustic spit. They prefer dark, cool environment. What? Just say environments! And as such are rarely seen in Valithria's southern deserts. Just say environments. It works so much better. Megalocrabs. Making a habit of waters both fresh and brackish, these goodly crustaceans spend most of their time buried in the mud where they warm the sanguine humours as they wait for potential meals to wander by. Since the time of the founder, the peoples of Rosaria have hunted megalocrabs for its sweet, succulent flesh and creamy Tomeles, the species having long been known among the small folk as fire crab for the bright red colour and phoenix-like patterns which emerge on the shells after boiling. Too many words. Too much, especially the whole sanguine humours. No idea what that means. Oh my god. It's like a scorpion crab hybrid, Jesus. Mostly found in and around the lakes and rivers of Sembrique and Rosaria, these deadly predators are equipped with scissor-like pincers with which to dismember and eviscerate their prey. If they were not enough, the creatures taking water from their habitat to create highly corrosive juices in their bellies, which they then spit out onto their victim's flesh to soften it, making it easier to consume and easier to make sure they don't get away. Raptors. Though still widely believed by the common folk of Sembrique to be the descendants of dragons on account of their leathery wings, meagerness of plumage and distinct ability to spit fire, learned scholars have long since concluded that these deceptively reptilian creatures are none other than birds of prey which, over countless centuries of hunting creatures on the ground, have simply lost their capability for flight. So nothing connected to dragons. Opportunistic avians that, like many other predatory birds, prefer to stealthily swoop down on foes from above and skewer them with their razor-sharp beaks. Though they are thought to primarily feed on carrion, travelling in large flocks in search of the dead and dying, it is not uncommon for vultures to attack living prey when times are lean. If you happen to hear the eerily human caws, skewards, and warbles, it is best to find cover and quickly. Good to know. Individually lacking in both strength and speed to subdue prey of any considerable size, wolves will instead hunt in packs, communicating amongst one another as men might, so as to overwhelm their victims, and while forever wary of other creatures, some breeds have been found to be more willing to form bonds with mankind, and this can be found everywhere from travelling mercenaries to elite infantry units in the Imperial Army. Following rumours of children being mauled by wolves, the Duchy ordered a mass culling of the beast, which saw the numbers in Rosaria reduced to almost none. God damn. Archetypal predators known best for their brilliant spotted coats and proclivity to lives of solitude. As in the case with most felines, the animals are severely strong-willed, and efforts by the Republican Army to harness their inborn speed and ferocity for use on the battlefield has been met with varying degrees of success. Yeah, don't try to tame wild cats. A large herbivorous creature found mainly on Storm, it has distinctive elaborate antlers and long sinuous limbs, which it uses to leap gracefully into the air. It attacks mainly with its antlers and rear legs, but many hunters are prepared to face such dangers nonetheless in order to acquire the lustrous, supple pelts for which these noble beasts are famed. Found to graze primarily in the emerald meadows of Rosaria or the windswept savannas of Dalmakin, bighorns are easily recognized by the eponymous growths, the lengths of which can oft exceed several score hands. that jut sideways from the crowns. These horns, as well as the hard-wearing hides, are prized throughout Valithia and can be bought and sold at marketplaces all over the realm. Caution, however, is recommended when hunting the creatures, as they are highly territorial and will charge relentlessly at anything that might stray into their line of sight. I feel like I'm mispronouncing a lot of things, and I think I think that's just... Oh, I didn't realize you had a new entry. I think that's just because I've been reading so much, I'm kind of losing it. Enormous creatures with nigh impermeable and utterly fertile shells that play host to diverse flora that provide the painfully conspicuous reptiles with much needed camouflage in the bogs and fens that they call their homes. At a glance, these lumbering giants may not appear much of a threat, but at the first sign of danger, they will retract their heads and limbs and whip themselves into frantic spins that have been known to flatten entire homes. Goddamn, really? Jesus. Dragonettes. Lesser dragons known for their nimbleness in flight, those specimens of the Sambricosis species known more commonly as the worm or worm are somewhat easily tamed and as such widely employed in battle by the Imperial legions. Makes sense, they do love their dragons. Look at this thing. Middling dragons whose membranous wings are attached to their forearms rather than their torsos and end in hook-like talons used to rip apart the flesh of their prey. Their abundance in northwestern Somme eventually resulted in mass domestication by the Imperial Legion, which, alongside the spreading of the Blight, drove remaining populations south into the deserts of Dhalmekia, where they now struggle for supremacy with existing species. Yeah. Faunir of the North. An ancient dragon adapted exclusively for the life on the ground, and as such it is encased in a thick bony armour. Though its kin once claimed dominion over the northern territories, the spread of the Blight inevitably forced their once gentle giants south in search of prey. Bombs. Floating masses of self-contained flame found across both Storm and Ash. These creatures lack the flesh with which we associate with typical fauna, leading scholars of the natural world to posit that they are not descendant of any beast, but rather ungodly creations of the fallen. By suppressing their infernal furnaces, the bombs can allow their bodies to cool and harden until appearing naught more than simple stones unworthy of remark. It is in this form that they hunt their prey, waiting until an unfortunate soul has stumbled upon their place of rest before rising from the ground to spew forth fiery gouts of death. Oddly, should the prey fire back, the bomb will not flee but rather combust spontaneously, sacrificing its own life to save the flock. I guess that means they're kind, and they like each other. Oversized suits of armor animated by lost, fallen magics, deceptively swift despite their size, they wield both sword and shield skillfully and effectively, while the otherworldly plate which surrounds the vulnerable cores provide them with a nigh impenetrable defense. Then I have a new one here for some reason. What is it? I don't think I missed anything, so I think it was added on because of all the bestiary things I read. Sorry, what? Oh wait, I have one more. Oh yeah, I missed you. A lake in the blighted lands of the southern edge of the former Grand Duchy of Rosaria, named for the dragon that some tales say created the basin when it fell from the sky. Fallen airships dot its expansive waters like forgotten cenopees, leading some to liken it to a graveyard. Its remote location, far from any trade route and deep inside the Deadlands, made it an obvious choice for Clive when faced with rebuilding Cid's legacy. Okay. With that all done, I'm gonna say I'm done. Sorry for 2 whole episodes of just reading, but I needed to get them out of the way. Next episode we'll be moving on with the story, so that'll be fun.
You needed?
My head kind of hurts, actually. I hope you all enjoyed. If you did, like, subscribe, comment, all the good stuff. I shall see you all later, and goodbye. Have a good day.